Hi, I'm Heinbach. It's good to have you back. Welcome to the monthly Patreon Q&A, where everyone who supports what I do on Patreon can ask questions and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Excuse the noise in the background if I haven't fixed that with iZotope. There's a bit of construction going on, so there's the distant ambient sound of drills. Before we go to the Q&A, I've got some news. First of all, new merch. I should have practiced this. So, assertion. And the fish is now wearable. This is not inspired by Seaman, by the way. Nani didn't know that game on the Dreamcast. And I even never played the Dreamcast myself. But yeah, so new merch, both in the standard t-shirt and in the eco-friendly version. You can get them via the link below this video. Also, Fundamental, the plugin that I'm developing with Sonic Labs and that you're hearing in the background, will be out on the 15th of June as standalone VST and audio unit. I'm super excited for that. I just started composing the first pieces with it and it's everything that I'd hoped for, and I hope you will enjoy that. Now, let's get to the questions. Adrian Stones. Have you spent much time digging deeper into the organ sounds you found last year in your Woodcase synth? Forgot the make model, Ciat Lonbarde, in your workshop at Forthwith? And have you found more things you didn't know since then? A ton. Basically, I played the Ciat Lonbarde synthesizers all year, and I discover new things every time I sit down with them and think about new patches. And it's an endless source of inspiration. Here they are, and especially the Z-Drux organ is something that we talked about. One thing I did, I took out the Z-Drux from my main live set because I needed to cut down on space, and I'm using the Plumbutter instead. And that was also one reason why I developed Fundamental, to have something like this again, but just a bit more portable. Because, yeah, carry-on restrictions apply. And once I go back on tour, I'll not be bringing the Z-Drux, I'll be bringing an iPad with Fundamental. Heath Webb, hello from Tennessee. First, thank you for your generosity in the worlds of art, education and kindness. You're welcome. Secondly, how did you come to take the artist name Heinbach? What was your thought process in choosing that name, and were there any other names you seriously considered? By the way, I think it fits you perfectly. It's the maiden name of my mother, and I always loved that name. It just sounded so calm. And a hain is a small grove of trees, and Bach is a little stream. So something about that image just stuck with me. So I took up that name because of that. And there was really nothing else that I'd seriously considered. I don't remember at least, or I've forgotten. I think that just fit naturally. Jason Hoffman. I love your candidness about your feelings for the instruments you play. Do you have any memories of excitement and or anticipation for particular pieces of gear that you'd like to share with us? Which pieces have been the biggest surprises and conversely disappointing, if there's a good story there? If there's a good story there makes me kind of like, is it a good story? I have to say, the whole test equipment series, that's been super exciting because I never know if something like would work musically. I had no idea if these things would be in any kind useful. And I think you can see that excitement when I open them up and try to use them. And that's the point when I shifted from like these more, okay, I've used this is how it works, this is how it shows, to just letting the camera run while I unbox and while I just set them up, and to just capture these moments of pure raw joy or sadness when something goes on fire or doesn't work, or I get shocked. So that's been such a great journey. And right now, I'm anticipating for 4 weeks now some Russian instruments. I bought a pretty beat-up Polyvox synthesizer, a synthesizer I've been curious forever, and I hope it will arrive. It's been stuck somewhere in customs, probably, and I bought a pedal to that, a Russian LiDAR pedal, and an Octava microphone, all pretty cheaply, but I'm excited to trying out these things. I know the Polyvox will, of course, do music, but I don't know if this beat-up version will play as I hope it will. But that's a synthesizer I'm really excited for. Even though it's just another mono synthesizer, I think the sound that I heard from it is just so different from all the Western synthesizers that it will be a fun tool, I hope. So that's something I'm excited for right now, and I'm checking the notifications daily. And yeah, the biggest disappointment, that's been a lot of the test equipment that probably got smashed up in the process, or that I killed just by starting it up. There was one unit that was meant for telephone. There's one unit that I wanted to show you, but I broke it. I basically broke it. It's something that's used to communicate from the company that delivers your electricity to the meter. And there's a special protocol for that. And I got this great mechanical tool. Basically, it's a box of 24 switches, and you could hear it ratchet and clank when it sent like pulse sequences through there. And that worked fine, but then I tried to externally clock it and I broke it. So it's probably something that can be fixed, but I don't know if it's worth fixing. So that's there. So we'll see what I'll do with that. But that was a big disappointment because I had just got it working, and then, yeah. Well, that was a big disappointment. Sylph DS, what is your favorite really cheap piece of gear? And what is your favorite really expensive piece of gear? Really expensive? I mean, yeah, it is expensive, and that's the Erica Syntrax. That's basically my absolute favorite piece of gear. The cheapest piece of gear that I was really excited about is the Genrad 1564 frequency analyzer, because I bought that for 30 euros from a university, and it's been such a great piece of kit as a lovely bandpass filter. The cheapest new piece of gear that I really used a lot and I was pretty excited about because it does so much in such a small package. That's the Korg Monotron delay. It's basically something you can pick up and use with everything. It's noisy, but that's part of its charm. Jacob Stevens. Hello, your channel and approach to music are both wonderfully creative, and it's a privilege to be a patron supporter. You gotta stop with these nice things. They're making me blush on camera. 2 questions, if you don't mind. First, I love the sounds of the Lyra 8, but would like to create something similar in Eurorack so I can experiment with my own signal flow. Do you have module suggestions? I don't have a Lyra 8. I should buy one simply because everybody keeps on asking me about it, so I can't really comment what modules to get. So I'll pass that question on to every one of you who has a Lyra 8. And please put your suggestions for modules in the comments. That would be very much appreciated. Second, my wife has been learning about her ancestral roots in the Schwarzwald, and we hope to visit next spring. Do you have any suggestions on things to do, see, especially for music lovers? How about in Berlin? Thank you. Hui! Yeah, 2 different things. Musically, like the Black Forest area, that's not that awesome. That's why I left. There's not that much, at least in the field of music, that I'm interested in. But there's a lot of great nature, so you should just go up the Kandel, for example, and rent bikes, drive around and visit all these, drive around all the vineyards, go up and down, and then go to a Gasthof and have some of the local cuisine, which is actually very good because we're close to France in that area, and there's a lot of nice... a lot of good food there, I think. And I actually like visiting Freiburg. It's a very relaxed and beautiful city, I find. And that's where I come from. And all the area around is just going to the mountains. And then there are the mountain lakes. And spring might still be a little cool, but just check them out and go for long hikes. Yeah, that's what I would do if I was there. And I really miss about the Black Forest, not having this. In Berlin, there is just so much to check out. One thing is always good is the Echtzeit Musikkalender. So there you can get all the experimental shows, the nice calendar. It's for jazz. It's also for improvised electronic music, and that's a really helpful calendar that's not that well known, I think. How often do you listen to your own album releases? How do they make you feel? Whew. Not that often, but when I do, like, I listen to them so much while I make them and the sequencing, but once that is done, I kind of stop for like a year or two, and then I go back, and then I revisit them. And then I revisit them from time to time. Oftentimes when I'm playing them for other people to check out and to get, I don't know, just to show, okay, this is something that I did there. And it's like these little capsules of time, and they bring me back to the places. Sometimes I want to revisit those places, sometimes I don't. There's records like Songs for Coco, which was released on Opal tapes. That's very much a morning album, and I'm not gonna revisit that anytime soon. I think maybe like in a year or two again, because I don't want to go to that place where I made it, because it's just too sad. And it's a good album, but it's very, well, it's a sad one. And yeah, I hope that answers your question. Michael Southard, which social media networks do you use the most and why? Are there any that you don't want to waste your time on? You seem to have a presence on all of them, which seems quite like the undertaking. Yeah, you have to play all the venues. I mean, I started with Instagram once I realized, oh, this could actually work, because I think it was Leonard, musician, producer, and I don't know if he's also a DJ, but we met at a modular meet, and then he asked me if he can take a picture of my setup, the Ciat Lonbarde. And I said, yes, of course. And then he took a picture, posted it to Instagram. I think that was in 2016. And then he said, oh, it's already gotten 600 likes. And I was like, what? Okay, what? So I have to check Instagram really out. And I had an account, but I hadn't used it at all. So from that moment on, I realized this could be something interesting, and I started posting. And from that on, it just took it up as a quasi job, just posting a video or a piece of music or just a picture every day once. And that really worked out. I got so much feedback from that. And then there was one video where I played an Mbira through an OP1 outside, and that gets a lot of traction. I think it was like 50,000 views or something. And that helped boost that channel. And from there on, I decided, okay, so now I've got like decent following on Instagram. Let's go more into the YouTube stuff. And I started putting my music out on YouTube also. And I could take that audience basically from Instagram over to my YouTube channel. And then the YouTube channel started to grow. Yeah, so these were really important to get my music out. And I'm on Facebook, but I don't invest much time on it because I don't like the platform at all. But it's kind of like you have to be in the yellow pages with your business. So that's the yellow pages for me. It's Facebook. And of course, event scheduling is something that's still the only reason basically to be on there. And then there is, Twitter. Twitter was the hardest for me to kind of get a presence, because it's very much geared to language, and as a non-native speaker that can be a bit difficult, but I found it to be a very interesting place to get good ideas. So, and I really enjoy Twitter now, and even though many people hate it, and there's some things that I haven't tried. I haven't gotten onto TikTok. I don't know if what I do would feel like it. I'm watching what Andrew does. I think, oh, that's interesting. And he's an absolute pro in playing all these social media channels. So I'm watching that with interest and maybe thinking of if that is something that I could do or would be fun to do, because the main thing is it has to be fun and playful. If it's just like a chain of reposts, so I really don't like this when you've got like someone posting a thing on Instagram and then it gets automatically posted on all the other platforms. Because if I follow someone on all these other platforms, I'll get the same thing like delivered thrice, and that feels just lazy. And I really think every social media platform is like a venue you have to play, and you have to adapt what you do to the audience. And there's the subreddit, which is actually very nice. Like, it's a great resource, and every time I have a technical problem, I can just post it there, and there will be someone who knows something about this format, especially like weird power connectors and stuff like that. So the Reddit is just also, there's like, it's not expected that you have to answer immediately. It has a certain longevity, I feel. Yeah, it's a lot of platforms, and it's a lot of time every day, and it's a lot of time spent with emails and direct messages. So you have to invest a bunch of time, and then also find times where you completely shut that off. So no notifications on the phone, just consciously go through each platform and then stop. That's pretty good for my health, mental health, to not have any notifications, not even for emails on my phone. I just go there when I pick the time. Super Effects Chip. Have you tried making music with a turntable and a sampler? Would love to hear your take on a classic setup. Prepared vinyl, contact mics, loops? There is a lot of vinyl stuff that I want to do, but I've just set up my turntable again in the room next door because it was basically in storage. In the past, I did a lot of stuff like with rhythmics on the turntable, using like scratching the Auslaufrille, like the final groove, so that runs endlessly, and then doing scratches there and making rhythms out of that. I've done that especially in the theater, and I did an installation with 7 turntables, made 7 dub plates, put different parts of the music on all of these, and then they would be rigged externally, so each of these players with their own speaker would create the whole composition, like a museum coming to life. So that's something that I did. And I haven't really, I've sampled in the past. I sampled, but the sampler back then was just Cubase. I'm also not much of a MPC guy. I can't. It's just not, I tried a bunch of, I tried the Digitakt, I tried the Zoom ST224, and it's just no fun for me to play with these pads and work with that. I don't, it just doesn't work with me. Fanopoaya. Is it possible to somehow playback a reel in reverse? I use Nagras, if that matters. I've had this idea for a good while now, but I can't think of a way to actually make it happen. Well, the motor does run in reverse when you rewind, so maybe there's a mod that you can do where you can have it run at a regular speed and not just the super fast like rewind speed. Or depending on what you want to do, you can just flip the reel, so you get the sound of what you recorded backwards. That's, of course, is an easy option to get that backwards feeling. And else, I think it would require some very sophisticated modding, which I don't know if that is something I would do to a Nagra. It's probably something easier done on a bigger machine that's not packed as tightly, and experiment with that. Arbauti. Did you have any luck with the Hone Electronium? It is a great sounding instrument. No, sadly not. I took it to someone to repair, and he hasn't gotten around to it. So I'll probably have to look for someone else if that doesn't work out. But I really, really need that instrument back. I miss it a lot. I'm the Kobold. Why do you not use acoustic percussion outside of small handheld stuff? It seems like some things could go perfectly with your music. Bowed cymbals, for example. I do. I put that in my music often. Especially I run that into the Coco Quantos, and I even got like a little setup right there. Probably can see it. There's the Marvin from Morph Beats, and there's a cymbal. And these are always there to be played and always ready to be mic'd, both with the Contact and with these GEFELL microphones. So I put these in. They're in a lot of my music. You can find these, especially the cymbal. I put it on tape loops. Maybe I don't show the process of using them, so that might give you that impression. Because since I record everything live, usually on the analog mixer, these things are basically pre-recorded into the Coco Quantos or the Morphogene, and then they play from there. And yeah, I sometimes just forget to take footage of while I bow them or play them. I'm the Kobold. I actually have another question for this month. Is that okay? Could you please explain the process you go through to get the music you've recorded to tape into a DAW? That's pretty simple. I just record to the master machine, and then I patch that master machine into the input of the baby face, Pro by RME, and then I record to Ableton Live. There's not much magic there. It's just simple cable connections. And I run it at 48 kilohertz. Maybe that's an interesting information. I found that to be the best, unless I want to do further post-processing, when I would run it to at 69 kilohertz, but generally 48 works fine simply because of cross-media compatibility. So I know that most theater systems run at 48, soundtracks are at 48, so I just keep that format. Antikorpinen, hello Heinbach. Sorry for a very broad question, but how do you go about using and EQing piano in your music? I mean, piano is such a dynamic instrument and covers a big frequency range, so it's not always easy to fit in a mix. Would be awesome if you could do a video focusing on piano recording and mixing techniques. Of course, in the context of your own music. Thank you for the inspiration. I absolutely love that idea. I really want to do that video. I really want to do a video on piano recording, especially as I've got sad ribbon mic come in, like the Russian one. And now I've got my piano mic'd in 3 different ways, with 2 GEFELLs and 1 Brilliant Keir sound level meter and also an MD21. So the piano is ready in so many ways to be recorded. And there's always some EQing that I have to do depending on different mics, but that's definitely a video I want to do, and I hope I can do that soon. So I'll be talking about that. Thank you for this suggestion. Phil Durand, or Phil Durant, as someone who does solo and group concert, I'm interested in your thought process in how you approach a collaboration. For instance, with Scanner and Walter Jaspers, and the difference in your concepts when you perform solo. Cheers. The main difference is that when you perform with someone, you have to leave more space. You can't fill everything too much up. So you have to listen to the other person and give them space. And also I find it best to just talk for hours and hours just about unrelated things, not about the performance, just to get a feel for the person. And that's something basically that I also learned from Wouter. And because when we collaborated, we just sat for 3 hours, 4 hours, had a few beers, and then we would do a little test, and then, okay, cool, let's play the show. There is just, it's all about making the human connection first before making the musical connection. I find that very important. Same thing with Robin, or Scanner. That was really a similar process. We talked a lot about different things, and once we had the idea that we would work together, and we had a Skype call that was about technical stuff, but then we talked about all these other things first, and that made it more, we got a better feel for each other. And that idea, for example, I just realized later on when I went through my Twitter messages with him, it came from a dream that I had. I dreamt I would visit him in his studio, and he had a great amount of snacks readily available there. And then he said, oh, maybe we can use that in our performance and process sound of snacks and stuff like that. And I was like, that's a great idea, let's do that. And it was a really lovely back and forth where we each picked up on each other's ideas. So that made this idea and thing basically happen. And yeah, and every time, of course, listening is the most important thing. Be it listen to your instruments, listen to your own music, but then also listen to the person you are working with. Just knowing also when to just be quiet and not playing a note. For some people that can be really hard to not play and just leave someone know. I'm just going to wait what you're doing, just going to let you. I don't have to produce continuous sound, and still give the feedback, I'm on, I'm with you. Give focus, not be distracted, but give focus, and then try to build upon what your partner has made. I think that's one of the most important things in that regard. So that's already all the questions. If you want to get a question in, just subscribe to any tier on my Patreon, and I'll post up a monthly thread where you can ask your questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.